public comment.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is not the one. This is not filled in.
Okay, I just want to welcome everyone to the public hearing for proposed local law number 8, 2018. The purpose of this law is to expand the circumstances in which alternate members may serve in lieu of regular members on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion with Cologne.
I'll second.
I'll second it. Good evening. Okay, all those in favor?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
There we
Okay, so moved. Anyone out there want to speak? No? Okay. Has everyone on the board had the chance to read this? It's basically entails a requirement similar to that with what we passed on the planning board, with minimum requirements for meetings and a limitation on the amount of meetings you can miss consecutively and in totality for the year.
Is that in this one with the missed meetings?
What's that?
The missed meetings is in this one also?
No, this,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Supervisor, this is not.
No, I'm sorry.
We already
I'm
adopted
sorry.
that, yeah,
I'm
this is
sorry,
all-
we adopted that, my mistake. This is to allow the alternate members to sit in place of the, my mistake, to sit in place of the current members on the zoning board of appeals.
There.
It solidifies them being allowed to, correct, counsel?
Yeah, previously, the way the language of the statute read, it would only allow substitution if there was a conflict, and it didn't require necessarily that an alternate be appointed. So the purpose of this local law is that if there were 3 members, the chairman would then, if there were 2 alternates there, sit both of them to fill in. So we have, as often as possible, a 5-member ZBA. And right now, the law doesn't read that way. It basically requires there be a conflict or something in order to sit that alternate.
Or less than a quorum.
Yes.
Yeah.
To reach the quorum, yes. So this would basically say, instead of merely maintaining a quorum, we will try to always have 5 members sitting on a ZBA panel when a matter is before the board.
And the advantage of that is also there have been times where there has not been a quorum.
Right, they've had to cancel meetings in the
Either they
past.
canceled or they didn't vote, and then the member who was absent came to the next meeting but was not prepared because he didn't hear the presentation from the prior meeting, whereas the alternate would have if they were there.
Seeing that there aren't too many people here, I'd like to hold the I make a motion to hold the public hearing open until we look at local law proposed number 7.
Well, we can,
Is there a reason for that in particular,
Yeah.
may I ask?
Well, we still have 1 council member missing.
Okay, and again, see, now, again, we're stopping something because someone else is missing, and then they're gonna have to go through the whole thing again. When there's 4 out of the 5, we can still get it done.
Okay, if there's no
we
second,
could
then the
still-
motion fails.
Well, we can't,
I
just to be clear, we can't move on to
Right.
number 7 because it's scheduled for 7:30. So unfortunately, this is the only thing scheduled for 7 o'clock.
Right.
So either way, from now till 7:30, it's either this or,
Later on.
attorney-client if there's something that needs to be discussed.
I mean, we could always bring this up again for discussion amongst the board, but we can close the public hearing because,
Okay, then I'll
Yeah.
change my motion to close the public hearing.
okay.
Outstanding.
Second,
I'll second.
any other discussion?
That's Sal.
Yes.
So,
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session regarding legal.
Supervisor, I think you would discuss an attorney-client.
Attorney-client.
There's a slight difference, but attorney-client privilege
Okay.
session, so we can
Attorney-client privilege
go into
session.
that.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Second by Cologne.
Attorney-client.
Attorney Klein, second by Cologne.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay. So
Yeah, I noticed that too. Turn them on.
want me to wait? Yeah, we started without you anyway. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second,
Attorney-client
I'm
privilege.
sorry, attorney-client privilege.
and I'll second the attorney-client privilege returning
Okay.
to regular meeting.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
McGinn?
Aye.
McGinn, aye? Aye. Aye, okay. Let it be noted that Councilman McGinn voted aye. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on proposed local law number 8 of 2018.
Supervisor, we already closed the public hearing.
We did close the public hearing?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that's right, Mary, I'm sorry. All right, so then I would like to make a motion to open the Monday, May 21st Monroe Town Board meeting. Need a second?
Second.
All right.
Call the question. Aye.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, okay, so moved. Okay, welcome everyone to the May 21st Town of Monroe Board meeting. 2 exits in your back, behind you. Please silence your phones. There's 1 exit up here to your right, our left. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can everyone please remain standing? I'd like to have a moment of silence for all the people down at Santa Fe High School and the community surrounding the area. We pray that they're able to recover quickly and with everyone in our country's support. Thank you very much. Okay. We need a motion to open the public hearing for local law number 7 regarding our town's post-planning.
I'll make that motion.
Cologne will second.
Second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So moved. Has anyone signed up to speak?
No, Supervisor, no one has signed up.
Is there anyone that would like to speak regarding, this law is to amend the town code regarding post-planning on new projects. And essentially, it will require the developer to place a certified or cashier's check to the town for 5% of the amount of the estimated cost of required improvements, and those costs will be estimated by our town engineer. No? No one wants to speak? Anyone have any comments from the town board?
Yes, I have a comment. Under 5729, it's broken down to two parts. One part is for site plan and one part is for subdivision approval. The wording is slightly different between the two because in the one for the site plan, it says 5% of the amount of the performance bond. And then on the subdivision one, it just says 5% of the amount. It doesn't say anything about a performance bond.
Well, it says both on the inspection fees. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, as I said, they're just very slightly different between the site plan and the subdivision. And then the other concern I had is suppose they're slightly calculated differently. I'd like something possibly to say whichever is higher, just to cover the town. Because right now it says 5% of the amount of the performance bond or 5% of the estimated costs of required improvements unless estimated otherwise in writing by the town engineer. I'd like something maybe to say whichever is higher. Because they could say, well, you know, you gave us an option and we want the other one. I don't know if that's possible.
No, but I think, counsel, correct me, the way I interpreted this is that these are two different stages in the process?
And one of the things, I mean, I'm going to recommend is, at the very least, even if you close the public hearing tonight, that you may leave it open for 10 days, because we had forwarded this draft to Mr. Edsel, the town engineer, to get his comments, and we haven't received a response, and we think it would be advisable, since it was really his suggestion to make the modification, to have his input before adopting it in final. So we can certainly forward the comments made tonight to him and, you know, get his thoughts on how to best structure it. Because ultimately, he typically is the one making the recommendation on how much should be submitted.
It also says here, the estimated cost is of required improvements unless otherwise estimated by the town engineer. In other words, the town engineer is really setting it, so if it's slightly off, the engineer can up it.
Well, that's why that's what I want to be sure, that we can get the higher of the two, that the applicant doesn't say, well, you said it was
I think not only could you
either.
get the higher of the two, he can estimate higher than either one of those. In other words, he can determine it.
It's up to the engineer.
But we
Well-
can firm that language up and say that even if his estimate is higher than the 5%, you know, that his estimate will control, or some language to that effect.
But it says as estimated by the engineer. I
Otherwise,
thought
in
that was clear.
writing.
Yeah, I think her point is, Councilwoman Bingham is just saying to make clear that it can be higher than the 5% of either.
All right.
Right, because if the town engineer says it's 6, 7, or whatever percent, I'd rather have that clearly stated, that it's because it's allowed.
Right, or that in no
Right.
event it should be less than
Right.
the 5%. But we can work on language and speak to Mr. Edsel. But again, I think we should get his comments on the draft before adopting anyway.
All right, that's the only comments I had for discussion. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Anyone else from the audience? Okay. So we need a motion to close the public hearing for this evening, with the option of having comments submitted within 10 days from this evening.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing and keep accept written comments for the next 10 days on the proposed local law.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin, aye.
Okay. So moved.
Supervisor, just to go back to local law 8, we closed the hearing. Did the board want to vote on that tonight, or do you want to continue that first matter, the local law? That's for the alternate zoning board members.
We could, I wouldn't mind voting on that tonight.
I wouldn't mind.
Okay. So, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed local law number 8 of 2018 regarding the ZBA and the alternate sitting on the board if there's an absence.
I'd like to second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved.
Okay. And just for the record, that will become local law number 7 since it's being adopted first.
Okay. Add to more confusion.
Yes.
All right. Okay, quick announcement again, May 25th through the 28th, Arrow Park is having their 70th anniversary. They have a calendar of events which begins on Friday, goes into Saturday and Sunday. Their daily admission to the events, excluding the banquet, is $10 for adults and $5 for children under 12. So if you do have time, it's a great venue, and be surprised what type of lake is there. It's very, very appealing. Okay. Next up, we had Amory Morris. Are you here? Okay. We had our local Boy Scout Troop 540, who was kind enough during Clean Sweep, along with their parents, they helped to clean the hiking trail behind Monbassia Park near the ponds. We brought in pea gravel, and the pack ended up spreading the pea gravel, cleaned up some broken tree limbs to use them as borders on the trail, and the pea gravel was also helpful in better marking the trail. We came into this year saying that we wanted to have people making a small impact in our community, which would lead to a large impact if there's a lot of small impacts. And we want to greatly acknowledge Boy Scout Troop 540 for their efforts. So I'd like to call them up. Ty Coors. Amory, if you want to come up here. We'll let you present them with.
Okay.
Green button.
We'll let you present them with the plaque. Alex Hess, Justin Ramos, Aiden Mallon, Josh Buckley, Andre Estrella, and Dennis Wolonik. Their scoutmaster is Hiram Ramos. Their assistant scoutmaster is John Hess, and their committee member is Ken Coors.
It's a school night.
Yes,
To get everybody here at night.
I
So
understand.
it's a school night.
I understand. If you guys could turn towards the camera.
Come on, we gotta put this on Facebook and make it
Yeah.
look.
So we're going to come around and we'll get a little shot with you as well. But thank you, boys, for helping out. Amory, if you want to read the
Yes.
plaque.
The town of Monroe proudly acknowledges the hard work and effort of Boy Scout Troop 540 in cleaning up the hiking trail at Monbassia Park. Congratulations on a job well done. Presented this day, May 21st, 2018, by the Monroe Town Board.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Nice seeing you. Congratulations. Way to go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I thought you. No, that Cub Scout is 2 things. Boy Scouts are 3.
Good job, nice work.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, guys. The
Thanks.
other-
Thank you very much, appreciate it, thank you very much.
We have, just so you guys are aware, we have ordered actual pins to acknowledge those that have been making impacts in our community, so they're due in 2 weeks, so we will get you, however many you need.
Excellent.
All right?
No charge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Of all of you, please.
You're seeing this, who submitted to us back in December. It's for that. I think they even
Thank you, guys.
So that was what version of that was for.
Okay. We have the approval of the May 7th, 2018 Town Board minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes of the May 7th Town Board minutes.
Cologne, a second.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Any discussion, corrections, changes? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, we start with old business. The Hometown Firefighter Services is the people who manage the LoSAP program. Program essentially has not been active for the past few years, and Gene Heater from Hometown Firefighter Services sent us a letter on April 19th of 2018 saying that this should be discontinued. And in order to discontinue it, we need to hold a public referendum by state law. You have some paperwork before you with respect to the amount of money that the 28 members of Lakeside who have participated in have in their accounts, and it's going to come down to our council, Brian Nugent, who's going to reach out to Hometown Firefighter Services to get a report in a current in the current state versus the one we have from 2016, I believe. So there's really nothing we can do this evening. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think you covered at just one point that ultimately, if the board does discontinue the LoSAP program, it is subject to a referendum, so it would be on the ballot in any event to be finally approved by the voters.
And that would be on the ballot in November, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Next item on old business is Cub Scout Pack 488 Fishing Derby. They ended up contacting Emery Morris to cancel the derby because of the weather this weekend. And they had given a $50 fee, which I think we should refund, and I will make that recommendation, and I will make a motion that we refund the $50 fee because they gave us ample notice. It was a couple days' notice.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay.
Are they going to reschedule that?
No, I don't believe they were going to reschedule it.
They're here. You guys want to?
No, it wasn't them. It was
Cub Scouts.
the security deposit?
The refundable security deposit, yeah. I need to have a motion for that too.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to refund the security deposit as well.
I'll second.
All right. Who's second first?
So,
Sal?
So, any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right. Fire protection agreement in the town of Monroe. So we have in the 164 acre that were annexed from the town of Monroe, there's 14 acres that will remain in the town of Monroe. And I'm Council, if you could just explain how this is. I think it's because there's non-contiguous.
Yes, it's essentially a portion of property that's outside the fire district. There was an area, a larger area that was already part of this fire protection district. So it's really not a new agreement, but it's at a much lower cost because what's left is that 14 acres where it used to be a much larger area that was served by the fire protection district. So essentially, the fire district provided services to this district. Now we're down to the 14 acres, so that's why the price is down to $8,500.
Okay, and the costs associated with that are basically to provide the firefighters under their benefits law coverage?
Yeah, that's one aspect of it. I think it's that in addition to providing service if needed
Right.
in that area.
Okay. So we would have to authorize the supervisor to sign this agreement?
That's correct.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay?
We ready for discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a dollar amount attached to this yet?
$8,500.
Per year?
Yes.
And is that one property owner, two? How does that break down? Is it just one owner of that 14 acres, or is it
No.
more?
No, I think it's several.
There's, I'll
Yeah.
give you the section. The section block and lots are section 2, block 1, and here are the lots. 2.4, 4.31, 5.221, 26.222, and 27.
Are there structures on it?
No.
I have a question.
Are they any tax exempt properties that would present a problem?
I gotta be honest, I don't know that.
I
But
believe
there's
some
no
of them may be.
structures.
Yeah, I have another
If the
question.
tax exempt, they don't pay fire district taxes either, or?
I think they might still contribute for that purpose, but I also think that the district is looking or intending to possibly have Curious Joel's fire department cover this, but because of the timing, it couldn't have been done, because this is actually a 17 contract, I think, that's payable by March of 18.
Yes.
I know when I spoke to council for the fire district, they're looking to have Curious Joel take over the response for this particular area, but that hasn't been, I don't think, discussed or anywhere near finalized at this point, because I don't think the fire district wants to continue to have this agreement.
Okay.
But, you know, this is just really, according to this agreement, is covering 17, but it's payable by March of 18.
I have a question regarding property 2-1-2.4. When we were looking at the chargebacks back for 2015, it looks like they were taken out of that district. So that means there's less property owners paying for this, or is the entire town paying for this? It's not the individual property owners that are paying this $8,500, it's the entire town that's paying the $8,500, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's broken down, to be honest with you. That might be better directed at Mr. Martin. I don't know how it's allotted, you know, whether it's by parcel or whether it's just a town-wide charge.
I'll get an answer from Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Well, council, regarding everything that's associated with this state law and whatnot, do we have a choice here?
Well, again, we're talking about a pass, from what I'm seeing in this agreement, it's 2017, so the time period, the operative time period's already passed, so presumably they already provided the services. So if that is the case, if the board wants to hold it off, we can inquire further. I wasn't aware this was coming back up to be put on, because we dealt with this probably a year ago when it was discussed with the fire district, and we haven't had any discussion recently. But you can put it off, but I think it's for services that have already been provided, so even if you didn't want to enter into it, the fire district would have what they call a quantum merit argument that they've already performed the contract, the services, under the agreement that existed. All that really happened, I believe, is the price got reduced because of the reduction in the number of parcels that was in this joint fire protection district.
Yeah, my question is, I think there's another parcel that needs to come out, so maybe this fee could be reduced in the future.
The parcel that's coming out of the protection district.
Right.
Yeah, 2.4 is what?
Okay, so I mean, look, if you want to put it on hold, we can put it on for the next
All right.
meeting and then
That's
get the
fine.
answers to
Okay.
those questions.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to table that fire protection agreement for the 14 acres till the first meeting in June.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So moved. Okay, the RFP for plumbing was an error, so that shouldn't be on there. We approved that, which our council is working on presently.
That's correct.
The Highway Department site mediation contract, John Sherney unfortunately had to go to another meeting with the fire district, so he will not be here this evening. So I would like to make a motion to table that until next meeting.
I'll second.
Call the question.
For discussion?
No,
No.
table it.
To table, because John isn't here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So moved. Refuge and recycle. Mr. Councilman Cologne.
The RFP is now being drawn up. It's going to be sent out when, council?
Yes, per the direction of the board, we've basically been revising the specifications, and this was, as you recall, changed from a bid to an RFP. So I would say within 7 to 10 days, we should be ready to issue that. The board has already authorized its issuance, so we don't need further board action.
So we'll
in order
just
to do that.
make mention of it at the next meeting?
Yes.
The day it's going out? All right. It's all ready to go.
Okay. New business, the Round Lake Boathouse. I believe Emery Morris wanted to discuss some aspects of this.
Okay, so roughly 6 weeks ago,
State your name, please.
we put an ad in the paper for the boathouse
Are you
for
ignoring me?
employees. And so tonight, there's actually, not only do we want to staff the boathouse, but there's quite a few decisions that'll have to be made by the board. So the first one is staffing. And so over the weekend, I did my last interview on Friday. Jen and I had interviewed about 80% of them together, and then the last few I did on Friday by myself. So that's why you got it late in the package, I'm sorry, but it did take a while for, even though it was 6 weeks ago we put the ad in, it did take a while for applications to come in. So what you have is, I split it up between lifeguards, rec attendants, rec aides, and then I gave you an idea of how many were college students, how many were high schoolers, so that we could staff it properly after the kids go back to college. So there's a good mixture. And then I gave you salary recommendations. Okay, and then I also tell you who is coming back and then who are new employees. So I was figuring those would probably be the questions that you had. Oh, and also that Monroe residents. So we've gone back to looking and staffing our jobs with Monroe residents. So there is one that is from Goshen. He was there last year, but so that's for you to look at and discuss. I don't know if you've discussed it as a group or the only thing you saw was my email over the weekend. So perhaps you want to do that.
Can you just explain how many in each category you need to hire?
Well, last year, when I went back and looked at who they had last year, they had 9 total, and what I have before you is 12, right? 9, 12, yeah, 12 people. So 9 or 10 would be the bare minimum, or the minimum, and you know, a little extra. I'm sure there'll be people that will apply as we go on too. The one thing I want to say is, though, last year there were quite a few 9-hour days, 9.5-hour days, and no one should be working no lifeguard should work 9.5 hours, ever. So I don't know, that won't happen this year. I'm looking at 4.5, 4.5, and 5-hour shifts, you know, depending on the day. I'm not looking to staff it well, I'm going into my next thing about the hours, but, so in answer to your question, minimum 9, 10,
Okay.
would be fine. You know, I'm not looking to have an abundance of kids either that I would, they wouldn't get enough hours. You know, I want to keep them that they don't try and look for another job as well. So, so that's my comment on that, and you have all that information, and I'm assuming you're going to talk together as a group. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And then my recommendation number 2, hours of operation. So I'd like to start the first weekend in June. So June 2nd, 3rd, June 9, 10, June 16, 17, June 23, 24, from the hours of noon to 7, and the staff would arrive at 11:30. And this would be considered our soft opening, a 7.5-hour shift with split shifts of 3.5 or 4 hours. You know, maybe someone works a little bit more, a little bit less. We'll have to see how we get that organized. And then starting on Monday, June 25th, okay, so after that last weekend, through Monday, September 3rd, we'd be open daily. The hours of operation would be 11 o'clock to 7, and the staff would arrive at 10:30 to prepare for the day. And again, split shifts of 4 and 4.5 hours. Okay, so what I'd be looking for tonight are resolutions for hires, resolution to make sure the hours of operations you guys approve, and the days. And Mary Ellen, I can, you know, do you want me to leave this with you? Or you got it?
I have the staffing.
Great.
And the hours you would start, I have it written.
Perfect. Okay, I know, because it seems like, but we can confirm tomorrow if you want, or
Yeah,
later.
we'll do that. We'll
Okay.
confirm.
And then a recommendation number 3 that I have is certifications. While the lifeguards have to be, they have to have a lifeguard certificate and waterfront safety. They also have first aid, CPR, and AED. But that also leaves the rest of your staff. I really do think at minimum we should offer them first aid, and we should pay for it. So there's a part where they do it online, and then there's a practical that I talked to Wayne Chan from the ambulance, and he said he would help us. But they must do the first part of that if that's agreeable to the board. But, you know, for me, I would really want at minimum everyone to feel like they can help somebody who might need some help, and at minimum first aid. So that would be a recommendation, and if you agreed, then I would need a resolution for that, so that we would pay for the course that they have to take online, which is before they do the practical with the ambulance.
Question. How much is the course online?
I
How
think
long
it's
do they
either-
have to take it? And would it be a requirement prior to them starting employment?
No,
It doesn't matter to me either way. I just wanted to have these questions.
I believe it's $20 or $25. They have to take the Red Cross one because that matches up with the practical.
Okay.
Okay, so that's number 1. And I would discuss that all. I would give the kids those details. No, I wouldn't make it mandatory that they have it right before they start, but within a week or two. So if we do
Couple
it
of
within a
weeks.
week or two, that's a whole month or
Right.
almost a whole month. Because I also have to organize it with Wayne, you know.
Right.
So, but everyone that I interviewed said that they were agreeable and they would absolutely do it. And, you know, the caveat is I think that the town should pay for it. And it is something that would make me feel really comfortable. And I think it would make them feel comfortable as well, to have that. And of course, it stays with them. And I believe it's good for 2 years. Okay. My 4th recommendation would be a dress code. I'd like all the employees to wear the same T-shirt, and that we would supply that T-shirt so that when someone looks, they know who is an employee, a staff member. If it says the town of Monroe or staff on the back, something like that. And I would also like maybe a lanyard with their ID on them, and I would like them to get IDs like you know we've had here, picture ID, and attach that to the lanyard. I think that'd be the easiest thing. And they felt it would be helpful as well, because when someone comes up, they don't know if it's a kid who's renting it or a kid who works there, or a young adult, I should say kid. But, you know, so I think it would make us look a little bit more professional.
I think so.
Just out of curiosity, I agree with you on the ID. Can you look into the fact whether a lifeguard is allowed to wear something around their neck? I know
Yes.
they have a whistle, but,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
will. I'll
Usually
look that
what
up.
they have are the breakaways.
Right, and maybe that's something.
That's what you have
we
to
can
get
look
as a
at.
breakaway.
Or you know what, for
We
them.
have lanyards on order,
Oh, okay.
so.
Oh, okay. So maybe they could just attach it to their shirt or something like that. So the worst is that it floats away.
Okay.
You know. And then of course for the shoes, I would like them to be in sneakers, boat shoes, water shoes, no flip flops or sandals. Mary had a so that's part of the dress code. Mary had a question over the weekend about parking, and so I called some of them that drive and have driven there, and they park there. And that took up some spots. So now we'll have them park further down on the shoulder, like that's way on the shoulder, you know, in that corner there would be the best spot, I think, for them to, you know, encourage carpooling, something like that. But I didn't realize that they were also parking there too. So we'll check that out. So it's a concern about the parking. Mary had some concerns about the parking. I agree, and I will look into understanding what's going on there between the boaters and the patrons who are using our service. Okay. I would also need a resolution for the board to authorize what rental boats we're going to be using this year. We have 4 swans, 2 ducks, 2 trikes, 1 blue paddle boat, 3 yellow paddle boats, 5 rowboats, and 5 kayaks. The 3 yellow paddle boats, I understand, are in need of some work. They were taking on water. I guess the heavier the patrons, the more water it took on. So I don't know if we have to have that for some lighter people. But in the meantime, we're going to have to look into it and see exactly what's going on, if it's too old to be repaired, or if it can be repaired, or what have you. So that is I am looking into that as well. I actually looked at them the other day, but they're not in the water. So I also have to buy additional life jackets and stuff like that. Typical inventory.
So we may have to replace the 3 paddle boats. Most likely, it sounds like to me.
Well, we may have to replace something. So I just want to make you aware of it. And as soon as they get in the water, we're going to test them, and we're going to see.
Well, I don't want to run afoul of it, but I don't want to get another dog.
A foul?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something I would like to actually see on the lake for some of our younger members
And
of
that
the
is?
community, and that would be paddle boarding. So stand-up paddle boarding, where you see them where they're standing and they're they're using an oar, and it's pretty popular.
I know they're popular, but my biggest problem with that is that people tip over on them and fall off. And even though they have the life jacket, I'm very much leery about that.
They can tip over.
They
can
quite
fall
often,
over.
yes.
However, anyone that's going to use it, they have them on Greenwood Lake. There's 2 places that rent them on Greenwood Lake. And I think Round Lake would be superb for that. I mean, we don't have nearly the way of wakes, and they have their water's really rough. I mean, I've been on
motorboats.
Right, and so, on a windy day it might be a little harder, but I know a lot of young adults that would like to do that, and every person, every staff member that I've asked what their opinion was, they were absolutely. So, we have things for families, and we have, the kayaks for someone who is by themselves in the boat, but this might be something that young adults might like. The only requirement is, and there are, there'd be another form that I would have to develop, but they must know how to swim. I mean, if they can't swim, they can't participate in that. So they would do like the forms they have at Greenwood Lake and other places. I mean, there's quite a few of them. There's so much online that I should be able to.
What is the age? We're cutting it off, and anyone above 18, or
18 or above.
18 or above.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying, yeah, young adults.
is there a fee that Greenwood Lake charges for paddle boards?
Yes, I think it was either 30 or 35. It's on my
For-
desk.
for
I think
half
it's
hour,
30
an
or
hour?
35. Here, no, I have it here. 25 for 1 hour, 35 for 2 hours.
Did you have any recommendation as to what we should charge?
I would like to see people using it, so I would say 20 to get people motivated, and I think
Okay.
20 is reasonable.
For 1 hour?
For an hour, yeah.
Yeah, I think
mean,
that's fine.
Yeah, that is something that I think would be
I think, and they're not
agreeable.
that expensive, so you can get
Oh,
them.
they are expensive.
Really? How much are they?
Yeah.
$500.
I called 2 vendors, and they both would give me a package deal where if I bought 5 or more, but I only get 5 if we did, they're roughly $500 each.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, these are not toys, you know, these are a real piece of sporting equipment, you know, like a kayak would be, you know. They have inflatable ones and they have rigid ones.
Rigid
So,
ones,
but the inflatable ones are not like a blow-up thing. They're inflatable within a, you know, to make it rigid. So it's not like, you know, blowing up a raft for your pool.
And would we have enough room in the boathouse to store 5?
I think we would if we, you know, we have to be a little original and move some things around, but I think we could. I'd like to give it a shot. I mean, I have to go down and measure. We've got to get everything out. You know, they're working, as soon as you guys can give us the dates, if you approve that tonight, you know, the last thing I want to do is put boats in the water and then we don't operate for a month, you know, because what does that do? That constantly having people call up, when are you going to open? So they need about 10 days to get everything prepared, cleaned, testing all the equipment, and get it in the water. So that's what maintenance says that they need. That's their lead time.
Right.
So if we were to
So we got to
approve
do that
tonight-
now, if we're going to do it by June.
Anne Marie, what is the plans with the barbecue grills there? What are you going to do with them?
Okay, so they're not so nice looking.
They look rough.
I'm not sure how much use they get. I do know that some people, in order to clean them out and put new briquettes in, just dumped it right below, and that's right in the water, and that goes right down into the culvert there, I guess is what you call
Well,
it.
it goes into the ram.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, it just is in the worst spot completely, and I don't know how much use it gets, if any. I mean, you know, minimal.
Minimal.
Yeah, minimal.
I do know someone last year attempted to grill on the picnic benches. You know, we don't want to encourage that either, and it's a wooden structure. So, you know, I myself, my first reaction was to get rid of them, but I'm willing to, you know, evaluate it after a while. No one has used them thus far. You know, I mean, it hasn't been all that great weather either, but no one has used them thus far.
Do you have any recommendations with respect to the actual rental fees for the various boats, kayaks?
Yeah, we could. I mean, we're really low compared to a lot of other places. So, you know, a rowboat or a kayak is $9. It, you know, could go up short 15, 12, 15. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you guys, but it's really, they're low. You know, on Greenwood Lake, a kayak, $35. That's a tandem, but $35 for an hour.
How much are we?
We don't have tandem, we have singles.
How much are the singles?
Our singles are $9.
Wow.
Wow.
Big
Our
difference.
rowboats are $9.
So what items we have? We have paddle boards, right?
The paddle.
We have paddle boats.
Kayaks,
Mm-hmm.
We have kayaks.
ducks.
No ducks.
Rowboats.
Rowboats. And there's those 4 items,
And then there's the trikes.
And the
Good.
swans.
trikes.
Those are $15.
And you're going to get the flat kayaks?
Sorry?
The flat kayaks? you're
Those
gonna
are
get?
paddle boards.
Paddle boards you're going to get. 5 of those.
If you approve that, yeah, I would love to.
You looking at the thermostat? It's on the back wall. It's on the back wall. No, it's that one.
Yeah, no, I know. Put the fans on.
Oh, okay.
So we're 9 an hour on the kayaks, single.
All right, so, let's go over this. So trikes were how much?
Their trikes are 15. The blue paddle boats are 12. Those, we only have one. And that takes people, more people and a higher weight. We don't take on water in the blue paddle.
Just 20? Fair? I mean, that's at least 4 people on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the paddle boards, you said
Paddle
20?
boards were, I think 20.
20.
The kayaks,
The kayaks are currently 9.
15,
so you want to go to 15?
because they're single.
15.
12 to 15.
Oh, so go 15. And then rowboats,
They're currently 9.
so we'll make those 15.
15.
What is the board's opinion on ducks and swans?
What are they at?
The swans are at 15.
Well, I'm talking about actually even putting them out there.
Oh, we got them. We should use them. Try to get them out. At least try and sell them next year.
Well, if some of the paddle boats aren't usable, do the swans and the ducks leak, or they don't seem to have issues?
I don't know. The maintenance guys were more concerned with the yellow.
The yellow paddle
boats.
boat.
Yeah, I mean, I went to look at them last week, I think on Friday. But I mean, all I can see is where they were caulked underneath, and we'd have to see them. We have to put them in the water. I
And
mean,
you
they
still,
may have fixed it, or maybe it's a continual maintenance thing. I don't know.
and you still need life jackets too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would like some life jackets.
What do life jackets cost?
They vary. Like,
Depending on the
Size,
size.
adults,
yeah,
child.
we're looking for
Extra,
extra
extra
large
large.
and extra large. So, they run the gamut. I mean, you could spend a lot of money, you could spend a little money. So, $50 to $80.
And how much was the swans?
The price to rent it is $15.
20.
So
20.
Yeah.
20. And the rubber duckies. I hate the duckies.
If I may, I think after Ms. Morris does her presentation, we should break this down and discuss,
And just send her a
pricing,
price.
operation,
Yeah.
and then what,
yeah, I just
Right, that's
You know
why I
what I
just
mean?
figured I would
Yeah.
I would
Rather
do all
than-
these
you know what I mean?
recommendations and
Yeah.
hopefully.
kind of just take it from the beginning and go down and.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, okay, so that was what you're going to put in and how much are they going to cost. And then recommendation 6, resolution for petty cash. I'll need that. And $300 is what they used last year, and I believe that should be sufficient. And that would be so they can make change. And that would have to be proved out.
Is there any availability to do like credit cards or anything like
I
that?
am looking into that. I haven't gone over to, first, I just wanted to get started. And then once they got used to knowing the prices, the easy thing to do would be to do the credit cards afterwards. I mean, once we get in through our soft opening, but I would hope that we could, with the town phone that's there, use that thing to swipe, and then we have almost no cash, which would be great, and then it immediately is deposited. Each transaction is deposited into the account. There's a small service fee, so I have to look at that kind of stuff too to see what the service fee is. Maybe that's negotiable. With the bank, I don't know, but
Right, because if the town has an account with the bank, they may
Oh, we would
look
only-
at the whole
yeah, we
big
would only-
picture. They wouldn't necessarily look at just what you're going to be generating for May, June, July, those few months. Yeah,
right, and it would go into our bank account.
exactly.
Yeah. So, that's the next stage. Honestly, I just wanted to get all the, the prices down. If we go from cash to credit card, in 3 or 4 weeks, that's great. You know, that'll just make it even easier, but at least the whole other work got done, so,
How much did you need for petty cash?
300.
300.
Okay.
And then the last thing for your discussion would be, last year they sold water and soda out of the boathouse. Do you still want to do that, or would you want to have a vending machine? We have electricity there. The sodas and the waters they were selling, I think, at $2 a piece last summer.
I just,
Sometimes they sold a lot, and then sometimes people would say $2, you know, so.
right, but I have a fear with the vending machine. People drive by there at night and, you know, it's not like we have security and.
Well, there is a
could-
light there, and I share your concern, but that would be a vending machine person's problem.
Not ours.
We had, no, it wouldn't be, I mean, we've had vending machines, we have vending machines at Smith Clove. There's not always.
I think, could you do a vending machine for other things like ice cream
There
or
used to
something like
be,
that?
That would, you know, if the town wants to entertain that, sure. I mean, that would be your decision. And we've had a vending machine there before. I mean, it's not a new concept. It's something that we did, you know, many moons ago, but we did do that. So, you know, it's one less thing that the kids would have to worry about.
And there's more control.
Yeah, I mean, then you know, we're not trying to prove out, who, you know, if there's a soda missing or water missing, you know, it would be the person stocks it, he comes in and he takes the stuff out of it. So for me, it's
the way to go.
it's a win-win because
Yep.
it's something I wouldn't have to be concerned about. Okay? And I think that was it. Lastly, funding, just so you know, the boathouse, the budget for that is $59,000. 26 of that goes to aquatic control. So it doesn't really leave a lot of really money for anything else. There's $1,500 for equipment, $2,000 for maintenance items, and $22,000 for salaries. So last year for salaries, you spent from mid-July through Labor Day weekend, $83.55. That's $8,355 approximately. And over the next 5 weekends in the fall, just over $2,000. You know, so that remains to be seen whether we should be open in the fall or not. You know, it costs money to be open. But we're also, I mean, it's a service. If it's good weather, it's kind of hard to,
Yeah, you'll lose
you know,
all your
kids are back
college
in
kids
school,
too.
college
Yeah.
kids are gone,
Yeah, right.
you know, so it's short-staffed.
Yeah.
I mean, but there'll be staff, but that'll be town board's decision. But those are the numbers from last year. I don't know if that would have differed in prior years for that time period because it's something we have done in the past. Not every year, but we have. So I think that is it. Okay.
All right.
And if before, if we could just finish this up, since I'm the next thing, the rest stop, because I have another meeting to go to too.
Yep.
Use of Monbassia 6.2.
Yeah,
Use
that's,
of-
that-
is that okay? Could I-
that's just a stop.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
to stop.
We
And
did it last year or the
and-
year before.
honestly, I couldn't believe the write-up that this gentleman sent me. He is just like I like it.
And they're paying $100?
Yes, he paid even more than what was required. And
Okay.
the refundable security deposit, he gave all the paperwork and a beautiful synopsis of everything that's going to happen and how organized they are, and they have contacted all the police agencies. So I was really impressed with his presentation, and of course I'll be there. I'll make myself available those days, and I will be there for that. But I was, so I'm hoping you guys would approve that for sure.
Okay.
Okay, and he has to know, if it's not, I'd have to know tonight because he'd have to make other arrangements, but it's kind of getting late, so,
No,
Okay.
good for
Okay.
it, good for it.
thank you.
All right,
Right.
well,
Thank
are
you.
you leaving?
I'm leaving, I
Okay.
have another meeting, but, I mean, if you had a question, you
Give-
could call
I
me.
just want, we got to do it, just to make sure we have all the motions in line. Prices of the
I kind of broke it down here for you.
Then we have prices for the boats and the equipment. We have a resolution for paying for the course for the certification. We have the purchasing of paddle boards. We have to approve which boats would be in place, which would essentially go into what we set the prices at. We have to approve petty cash, and then we have to approve the hiring of seasonal staff
Yes, hours of operation,
and
Yeah,
hours of operation.
dress code.
yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I have it kind of broken down here if you want me to kind of run
So do
through
we
it
have
as
to
soon
do it
as,
one by one, or
alright.
can we just do
I
a group thing?
suggest you, I don't
You
know,
gotta do
Mary
it
Ellen,
one by
how do you, I
one.
would like one by one, to be honest.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm gonna,
And the
I'm
vending
just asking.
machine,
All right.
if you have an opinion of the vending machine tonight as
put in the
well.
vending machine.
Okay.
Or selling it, it's whatever you
Vending
guys
machine.
choose. I will do, but, you know, it's up to you.
And 6.2.
And 6.2, please,
Yeah.
yeah, that one I really need
Okay,
to.
so let's
Okay.
do this. Let's, I'll just make a motion to get 6.2 out of the way and approve that charity bicycling event.
I'll second it.
Shine for Life.
Go ahead, Sal. Second it.
yeah, I have that in here.
Oh, you have
I
that,
have
thank you.
yeah.
Okay, all right, so we got a second there? Any
Second.
discussion on that? They've provided insurance,
Everything.
payment, and deposit.
Yep.
Okay, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again,
Okay, so moved. Okay, Councilman McGinn, you're up.
okay, so regarding Mrs. Morris's very detailed operational plan, which I commended her for, it was very, very well laid out. I read her email over the weekend, and looking at this, of course, it's nothing less than expected. All right, so I'd like to make a resolution that we accept her recommendations for staffing and salaries. That would be the first resolution.
I'll second that.
Do we have to give all the names for the record?
Well,
Not at this
she's
point.
gonna do the hiring. I do want to discuss something in executive session though, afterwards regarding it, but we can approve her hiring however many she sees
So the
fit.
motion is for Anne Marie Morris to hire
hire.
staff for the boathouse.
Correct.
Okay.
Seasonal.
Well, I said staffing and salaries. Mr. Supervisor, is there, do you want to discuss something about the salaries, or?
Nope, got nothing to do with salaries.
Okay, all right, so a resolution for staffing and salaries based on her recommendations on the sheet, or in her proposal.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to make a resolution to accept her recommendations for the hours of operation, the certificates, and the dress code.
I'll second.
Do we have to do that as all individual items?
I don't
No.
believe so.
Because with the dress
We can do
code,
that,
Why does it have to be separate?
recommendations all as one resolution.
I think she wanted separate.
One's hours of operations, one's certification, one's dress code.
I mean, unless the board, if you think you're going to want to discuss them separately and have issues, then you can do them separately if you think that you're all on
Sim-
board.
Talking about
So-
certification for the lifeguard?
We have to
Lifetime.
pay for the certification, we might have to pay for uniforms or a T-shirt or whatever. So maybe it's better to have separate resolutions.
Probably be faster than discussing it, so I would just go with separate resolutions.
Go ahead. Councilman McGinn.
Okay, recommendation for the hours of operation,
I'll second that. As recommended by,
as recommended in the report that was given to us.
okay, I'll second it.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye. All right, I'd like to make a resolution for the recommendation regarding the first aid certification as proposed by Mrs. Morris.
I'll
Which,
second.
which would include the town paying for the
Yes.
services
Right.
Paying
And the training.
for the online course
and the online course
and
and the
any
training.
associated training for the
Right.
first aid.
I'll
Yes.
second that. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, I'd like to make a resolution that we
You
accept.
voting on that, Councilman McGinn?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Again, aye.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to make make a resolution accepting the recommendation for the dress code as specified in Mrs. Morris's report.
May I add to that?
That the town will pay for
The town will pay for the T-shirts. Footwear will be supplied by each individual worker.
All right, I'll amend it that we that we accept her recommendations for dress code and that the town pay for the T-shirts for the staff
And name tags,
and name tags
and lanyards.
and lanyards.
Okay.
Killing
Are
me.
you seconding it? Seconding it?
I'll second that.
Seconding it? Yes, okay. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
All right.
McGinn, aye.
Oh, now
McGinn,
you're
aye.
in it. Now you're in it.
McGinn, aye.
Go ahead.
I'll beat for the next one that you miss. All right.
You
I'm
crack
going
me
to skip
up.
over the boats for a second. 'Cause I think that's a little bit more of a lengthy discussion. I recommend I'd like to make a resolution approving the recommendation to go with paddle boards
5.
as recommended by Mrs. Morris.
So,
5 paddleboards.
Five
Five.
paddle boards, yes.
5 paddle boards at the
That's five.
approximate cost of $500 each
Yes.
or less.
okay.
Who's second? Sal?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye. Okay, I
Life
really don't have an
vest.
opinion on the vending machine, so if someone else wants to make,
I'll make a motion that we approve having vending machines there.
For soda and water.
Soda, water, and maybe a snack machine.
Okay, I'll second that one.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Life vest, can you do one for life vest?
Yeah, we gotta approve the purchase of additional life vests.
As needed.
You want to make that, Rick?
I'll make that motion to purchase life jackets, the cost of which will be between $60 to $80 each, depending on size, not to exceed, what, $80, I believe she said?
Yes, she said
Yeah.
80.
The number of which will have to be determined during the presentation that was given. We didn't get an exact number, but it can go, what do you think, 10 to 15?
Subject to that.
Yeah, maybe.
I think she said she just needed 2 sizes, right?
Two
Yeah.
sizes, but she may need,
She has to
10 to
check
12.
the others to see if they're still in
Yeah.
good shape or
So I'll
not.
recommend 12 at this point. We can always up it
Okay.
later on. For 12 life
I'll
jackets.
second that. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
All right, take it
just
away.
just jumping back to the vending machines there real quickly. I believe it would be pending the approval of a contract
Yeah.
that the board would have to approve separately.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Petty cash.
Petty cash. You want
It's
to do it,
not-
Mary?
I make a motion that petty cash be allowed for the amount of $300 at the boathouse.
I'll second that.
We're not being petty.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Now,
All right, so I think that leaves the boats at this point, and which boats. So I make a resolution that we approve the use of the paddle boats, the 1 blue paddle boat, the 3 yellow paddle boats, the 5 rowboats, the 2 ducks, and
Whoa.
she didn't have, and 5 kayaks.
Ducks? You mean swans?
swans.
Swans, yeah, I'm sorry.
Four
swans.
swans.
4 swans.
And 5 geese a lane.
Okay, do you want to attach the prices to it?
Did she give us hard prices yet or no?
Well, we were
yeah,
kind
were
of
talking about
We
20.
talked about trikes 15,
Right.
blue paddle boats 20,
Right.
paddle boards 20,
Right.
kayak 15, rowboat 15, swans 100. No,
No
swans,
swans,
swans
20.
20.
And the ducks, 25?
No, we're not doing ducks.
Thank God.
Okay. You can attach those prices to those items.
Okay.
What are you going to do with the ducks?
Second the motion?
I'll second.
Can I
Second it? Let's
Wait.
worry about that later.
One
have a
second.
question?
Yes.
Okay, you said paddle boats. What are we doing for paddle boards?
Paddle board,
Paddle
$20.
boards, you said 20.
I said 20, yeah.
Oh, the price, yeah, I'm sorry.
So
So
paddle
the-
boats and paddle boards are 20 each per hour. All those prices were per hour.
And the kayaks were?
15,
And the rowboats?
15.
15?
I'm good. Now I'm good.
Okay.
Okay,
Now I'm good.
Okay.
all right.
I think that kind of covers everything.
I
Yep.
think that's about it.
So we got a motion, we have a second.
Hit it. Call the question. Call the question.
Who seconded it? Rick did? All right, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I
Okay, so moved. All right. Next item, planning board applicant return of escrow. This was approved by our engineer. And it's for $445.40 to Mr. Ray Ely.
We have the letter from the engineer?
He's,
This is gonna be my question.
no, I'm sorry, this one isn't, no, this one, he is no longer interested in pursuing subdivision of his land. And it's escrow account 00862004.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
This went before the planning board. Did the engineer have to do any work?
Yeah, there was a balance that was, that's the balance that was left
Oh,
after
that's
all the
about-
bills are
okay.
paid.
That's, okay.
Anytime she submits a voucher for a refund,
Right.
it's with the approval of the engineer and all the bills have been paid.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So I'll make a motion to return the $445.40 to Mr. Ray Ely of Vail, Arizona.
I'll second that.
So long as there's no balance outstanding,
Yep, and we have a letter from him
stating such.
stating such, yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
again, I
Okay, so moved.
Second one.
The second one is for Daniel Sutherland. Return of escrow for account number Z0212017. He received his approval in October of 2017, and that amount is $1,980.
I'll make that motion. We return the escrow in that amount.
I'll second, provided there is no
Yeah,
outstanding balance.
there isn't.
Just putting it in there.
Yep. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I
Okay, so moved. Next up, Rest Haven, Mr. Mitz.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you for waiting.
Thanks
Gentlemen,
for allowing
gentlemen and lady,
ladies.
ladies.
Thank you for taking time to see me this evening. Want to just introduce us. Some of you knows who we are, some who don't, who Rest Haven is. I'm embarking on a 3-year venture which is going to stride to the 100-year anniversary of the American Foundation for the Blind. And Rest Haven is the backbone of the social life of the American Foundation for the Blind. We just found out that a couple days ago, Mr. Nelson informed me that they're releasing a magazine or something called the Hudson Valley Hidden Treasures, and we're listed in that. It was one of the biggest hidden treasures in Hudson Valley. It was used as, for the ones that don't know, it was used as an adult home from 1923 to 1968 by the American Foundation for the Blind. It served as a community service from 1978, May of 1978, until September 2016 when we purchased it for a service for the developmentally disabled. And as a lot know, we're looking to continue its service to the community. What I've come for the board for is 2 reasons. One, you'll remember back in October, you graciously allowed us to release our documentary at the Monroe, what is now the Monroe Theater. We're going to start getting receipts, taken possession of from the American Foundation for the Blind, historical documents that have a lot to do with their connection to this community. It includes things such as the warranty. These are original documents that we're going to be getting. One's a warranty deed dating back to 1895. The other one is a contract between McKendricks and Miguel, who was the first president and founder of the American Foundation for the Blind. All these documents are going to be coming to us to be able to put on and show the community the social life that this community had with Rest Haven some 50, 60 years ago, when it ended in 1968 with the sale of the building to Mr. Jack Lance and his wife Helen. It's been beautiful because Mr. Lance and Mrs. Lance have provided a lot of information about this house from 1968 until 1986 when they sold it to Arc of Orange County. And I got to tell you, this is the treasure. If you've been to the building, and I know Mr. Codone, you had come by, and a bunch of other people in the community have come by and seen what the house looks like. You need to come by and see this. What the purpose of me being here tonight is introduce you who we are, what we're doing. A gentleman sitting in the audience, Donald Bain, he is part of an organization that we have that is called Preservation of Rest Haven. Its only focus is to make sure that this property stays an historical facility the way it's supposed to be. And we do have a pending application, and of course, me being the optimistic person I am, we are expecting it to be landmark status within a year or so, this property. So the purpose before you guys is as you're doing your things, and we've used the Monroe Theater for the documentary release, there's some things I won't be able to accommodate by inviting people back to the house for certain, zoning and political reasons where you can't do certain things. So I'd like to ask you guys, as you move along with Monroe Theater, or when you purchase this new building you're talking, think about doing something with Rest Haven jointly so the entire community can come and see things that James Rogers saw as a kid growing up, Jim Nelson has seen as a kid growing up, the blind women, the blind ladies walking the streets together. The connection to this community, Donald Bain, Mr. Bain and myself have been to the archives of the American Foundation for the Blind twice now, I think? Twice. And we've been allowed to take photos of things in their records. And one of the interesting things came up was the program. The program included Roscoe Smith House, the girls would go to. It included Museum Village. It included Realm Lake. It included the Checkerboard Inn, which was owned by Miguel. Miguel's house, as some of you may know, it's a big stone house that sits up on the hill at the Mansion Ridge Golf Course. That was Mansion Ridge Estate and Farm. It consists of 6 different farms that Mr. Miguel purchased in the early 1900s. And then he purchased this house, not for himself to live in, but for these women who were blind and injured to come to our community and see what it was like to be a Monroeite. And I want our children to see it. I want a lot of people to see it. We had people last year, and a woman sent me a Facebook message back and says, I was just there with my kids, and their kids like 10, 12 years old, and they never knew about Helen Keller. But they saw a picture of Helen Keller on our wall, on our very steps in 1950, apologize. These kids went home and said, Mom, tell me about Helen. Tell me about her. What's bigger pictures? What about what those people brought to this community and what this community did for people? And I think that will help bring this community together, and that the public sees what I see every day when I'm living in this house and see what we're doing and the things that come out of the woodwork. I've had newspaper articles. I've had an original article of 1903 about this house when it was first built with pictures. Mr. Bain and I went to the Warwick Historical Society. We obtained actual glass negative photo of an original glass negative for pictures a picture that was taken in one of the rooms dubbed the Oriental Room. And we've made original photos from that. So I want, Ken, before you, like I said, as you do go along, I don't know who a good liaison would be because I live in the village, but I also own property in the town as well. So I'm not somebody running through here. I'm somebody who cares about this community that I've adopted in the last 15 years now that I've been here. So, as I said, so that's the purpose of me coming to you tonight. Maybe you can give me some leadway as a board, who we can talk to ongoing and try to get some programs going. And really, by 2021, I want to get it ramped up where I maybe can convince the foundation to actually bring some of their artifacts here and put them on display. Let them see the pictures of people that stayed here, things that went on. I've seen internal memos. I have seen documents where Helen Keller actually oversaw this building as a trustee for the American Foundation for the Blind. It's just wild. I mean, People come in there and they spend 2 hours walking around the house, and that's just one floor. So that was the purpose of my meeting here tonight, and I look forward to whoever it may be working on, that we can do something forward and really make this happen where bigger projects can be made. And by, like I said, by 2021, maybe we can have a really big splash here on the thing, because I can tell you by 2023, this house will be 100 years old, serving the humanitarian of this community and around. People from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. The property has been listed in the 1932 and in 1950-something national magazines of a directory about services for blind people. We've had blind people come up from New York City. We've had disability people there come and visit. We've had the seniors there last year. We're hoping to do it again this year. We're hoping to let the public, so that's the purpose of mine, to see if we can come together, the community between Rest Haven, Preservation, the town of Monroe, and the village of Monroe, and work something out that will give us some future to look to in the next 3 years. So I appreciate your time, though.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Anyone have
Thank you.
questions? No. One question I have. Are you a 501c3?
Preservation of Rest Haven is a 501c. It is strictly purposes to promote and educate this community about it, and everything would be handled through there. My company, which is HRR Corp., owns the property, but it's not charged with the promotion and education of the public. It is all dealt through a separate committee and a separate board that I do not reside on. They tell me what to do if I do something wrong. Imagine that.
Okay, so it's essentially a commercial entity owns it, and it is overseen by a non-for-profit
organization that does it. The purpose of it was, if you recall, about for 35 years or more now, the property has been off the tax roll. It was off the tax roll from 1923 to 1968 as well, because Rest Haven was actually a non-for-profit organization owned by the American Foundation for the Blind. The purpose we did what we did is because we felt that the property is our responsibility, not the taxpayer's responsibility. We've asked for no money. We've asked for no assistance. We've just asked for acceptance in this community, which we've gotten a very strong acceptance. So all the work and everything you see is done with private money. It's not done with public money. Okay. But on the other hand, that's what the preservation is for, is to let the public enjoy this property. And as a whole, it's Monroe's house. It's not just ours.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Very
Thank you.
commendable.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
What else we got?
We got item 6.6, policy and procedure for dog control officer collecting funds on the weekends.
Right, and also possibly dog licenses. One of the things, since the dog shelter is now under my purview to follow up on, I am the liaison. I was there on Mother's Day.
Was it rough?
It was rough, yes, yeah, it was very rough.
Rough. Very weak. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and it came to my attention that occasionally, if some dog comes in and our dog control officer has to go out like on a Friday evening, that dog, even though you might know the owner and it might have its rabies shot and it might have everything, but because no town hall is not open, nobody's there to accept the redemption. So before I really start looking into pursuing this, I wanted to know if the town board feels it's worthwhile having our dog control officer be allowed to accept payments when town hall is closed.
I believe he has in the past.
I don't.
Do we have a procedure for that?
I think
That's what
one,
we-
I don't think there's a procedure,
Right.
and two, I don't think that we. I certainly don't have an issue. I can't speak for everyone else, but I think it's preferable to take a check or money order as a form of payment.
Well, I've
and
already
not, and not
talked-
hold on to the dog and return to his owner if he's properly licensed and all that.
Has a rabies and, right.
has a
I've already
rabies.
talked to Mary Ellen, it would have to be money order because we've run into problems with checks in the past. Somebody says, oh, Fifi's coming home with me, and
May I speak on this? Just so everybody is aware, all the dog control fees come through my office. Many years ago, that town board opted not to accept payments on the weekends. There was various reasons why. Okay, so it's been a long time since we've done that. The other caveat to it is, the dog cannot be released without a dog license or rabies.
Right.
Years ago, we did not have the BAS program. I have the BAS program in my office. I did ask Roland if, I'm not familiar with the dog control officers. He had to look in and find out if he can issue a dog license. Being my office is responsible for the fees, I did tell Councilwoman Bingham, I would recommend that it's a money order, because I just feel that checks and cash shouldn't be coming in, and we've had some issues with some checks and dogs. So, and that he can issue a dog license. I will give him the metal tags, a series of them, because we should be all about getting the dogs back to the residents. I'm all in favor of that. I also feel, I will work with Mary. I think we need to get a town map to him, because the last few dogs we picked up have not been in our jurisdiction. So, Councilwoman Bingham is gonna work with me and Roland and Supervisor Cardone, who spoke about it. But I think we need to get some policies and procedures in place. Everything, I would like to report though, everything that with the IMA with Woodbury is working perfectly. We need to just tighten up a little bit on our end.
Right.
Okay.
Good to know.
So
Okay, so you're looking for a,
if there's no objections from the town board, then I would like to pursue this and work to get this policy and to allow for acceptance of payments. But if there's objections at the town board, then I'm not going to spend time and effort into developing
No.
a policy and procedure.
absolutely.
No, I think that'd be great if you could do that. I know the IMA specified a number of procedural things, but I think on our end, as the town clerk has stated, we need to probably tighten that up.
Right.
And we are, if they do have all the prerequisite, licensing and rabies and all that,
rabies.
we're all for,
Right.
returning the animal.
Right.
The program has worked well. The dogs that have been turned over to Woodbury have been adopted out. It has been, none of the, Armageddon scenarios that people predicted during the public hearings have come true. We're not holding on to dogs for 2 and 3 years as in the past. They're getting homes. It has worked out great, and as it should. So,
Okay.
All right.
so yes, please do.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you,
And
Mary.
Thanks for stepping
Thank you,
up
Mary.
and taking care of that. Okay, item 6.7 under new business is the training from the assessor's office. Last meeting, we approved the hiring of a assessor's clerk, which was a lateral move from the town of Newburgh at $42,500. She has, there's a training conference, an assessors conference up at Cornell University in Ithaca, and the estimated cost for the 5 days is $1,962. Tuition is $550, mileage is $206. And that's not the actual mileage, that's the cost she would be reimbursed for. The meals were totaling $456, and the hotel is approximately $750. There is, I believe, $6,000 in the budget, which not much has been spent. I think it's less than 500 has been spent. So that is budgeted.
We have to get our people trained, that's all there is.
Yes, I'm asking for your approval.
I'll make that
You
motion.
make that motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Scangarello
For discussion,
for discussion.
I just have a question on mileage. She's going to be using her own car. We're not going to be using any of the town vehicles.
Correct.
That's why
Okay.
you're getting paid mileage.
She gets paid
Well,
54.
we were saying originally that possibly some people would be using the town vehicles to
Right,
go,
but
so,
then they can't get mileage.
well, that's what I'm asking.
Well, that's
No, there's
understandable.
no
Something
double
stand to
dipping here.
reason. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, no double dipping.
No double dipping, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the idea is, especially I think it was for, one day conferences and things close by that we wanted primarily the building inspector and
Yeah.
his staff
Right.
to use the vehicles to go to those, so they're not using their own or other folks from town hall. But something like this, I think it's 4 days or whatever it is.
Five
It's
days.
5 days.
16
5
to
days,
20.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's we don't want to take one of the cars out of service for that long when they could be used for
Right.
doing inspections.
That was the only
code
question I
enforcement,
had.
all that good
Okay.
stuff.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, I
Okay, so moved. Council, can you refresh my memory with respect to the motion we needed to make for the assistant assessors? How we need that to be worded?
Yeah, I believe the town did not have a salary associated with the assistant assessor position, a permanent assistant assessor. Right now, you don't have one. So I believe the motion was going to be to set the salary for that position of permanent assistant assessor at $48,000.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, just to clarify, there is no assistant assessor, all right? That was a position that was previously held by Moses. Was that Moses' title, or?
Yes.
All right. So no one is holding that position right now. We haven't gotten anyone off the civil service list, so that's.
Yeah, and I should advise the board, it is competitive, the position, so whoever was to fill that position will need to come off a competitive list.
And
It's just basically setting a salary range, so if we do advertise the job, we have a salary range to associate with it. Or
Okay.
a starting salary, I shouldn't say salary range, starting salary.
Starting salary.
Yes.
Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 6.8, Comp Alliance came down and they essentially did a survey of our municipality regarding workman's comp plan. And there were two issues that we need to take care of. First, we have to form a safety committee. They recommended that we appoint a safety committee with members from the board, administration, department heads, and union line workers. That would ensure the safety of the employees and that they would meet several times a year. So if we would like, we could, we could let Mary Ellen take care of that, or I can take care of it, whatever the board, the board's desire is, if Mary Ellen is open to taking care of that.
When you say taking care of forming the committee,
Yes,
okay, if that's the board's pleasure, I can do that.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we allow our town clerk, Mary Ellen Beams, to form the safety committee.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. The second item was they,
6,
Uh,
bond resolution,
what's that?
the bond.
No. This was just still in Comp Alliance. We don't have a workplace incident investigation policy, which would define how we conduct an investigation regarding accidents, incidents that occur in the municipality. I will take that on, and I will work with HR Public Sector to get that completed.
we don't have a section in the handbook that covers that, or no?
I got to be
thought it
honest
did,
with you.
I don't remember seeing
You
that.
have workplace violence incidents, but this
Right.
is talking about accidents and things
Right.
of that nature, so.
Right. Yeah. Do they go to
So if they
urgent
get
care
hit, you
first?
have a
Do they
So we
go
policy.
don't
to-
investigate those, don't we?
Right. I think the only department that would have it is possibly highway and dial-a-bus, only departments.
Yeah, well, it's different.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah,
So-
I'll make that motion that
Supervisor.
supervisor's office be tasked with that duty.
All right, Cologne, the second.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Begin, I.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 6.9.
Hey, Mr. Supervisor, I'm just gonna take a quick break there.
We need him
I mean, you can continue, I just,
What?
We need him for
I
the
know,
bond resolution.
yeah, I know,
so-
I know.
Well, we don't necessarily, but.
No, yeah. Yeah, we don't need them. So you want to make, I'll make a motion to
5-minute break?
take a 5-minute break.
I'll second.
We'll return at 9:14. Second, call the question. Okay, motion to come back into our regular meeting at 9:12, ahead of pace.
And I'll second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay. All right. We have a resolution, 2 resolutions, bond resolutions, both for, one for the purchase of a new truck for the town Monroe Highway Department. That would be the issuance of a $250 bond to acquire a truck for use by the town of Monroe Highway Department. I believe Mr. Sherney said it was a wing truck, and it is up to $250,000. It's not necessarily going to get to that number. So we would need a motion to approve that.
Supervisor, before we get to the bond resolution, we need to deal with
Secra?
Secra. Yeah,
Okay.
there isn't actually Secra, but just for the record, we
But-
wanted to do a
but it's-
resolution.
But let me ask you, the seeker's not necessarily pertaining to the highway though, right?
Well, it's a type 2, but if you
Okay.
want, I can just briefly read the be it resolved portion of a resolution, and then someone can adopt that motion, just
Okay.
declaring it a type 2 so that it's on the record.
That's fine.
So the resolution would be that the town board hereby determines the proposed acquisition of a truck for the highway department, including apparatus and equipment used in connection therewith, is a type 2 action for secret purposes, requiring no further review. And the town board hereby determines that secret review is complete with respect to the proposed acquisition of the truck, and the town board directs and authorizes the clerk and any other officer as directed by the supervisor to take any action necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. So we
Okay.
need someone to adopt that motion.
I will adopt that motion.
And I'll second.
Okay. That was quick.
Okay.
You beat me to that.
Any other discussion? Okay, just the debt service on that is approximately, for 20 years, is approximately $22,000 a year, and the rate is 3.75 regarding that. If there's no other discussion, we'll call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. Would you like to discuss the next secret aspect?
Well, you want to do the adoption of the actual bond resolution now for the $250,000?
Okay. So what?
That was just a
secret.
secret.
That was just
type
secret?
two,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
so
have
now
to
you go
move on.
back to the bond resolution you were talking about.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the bond resolution for $250,000 for a new plow truck for the Town of Monroe Highway Department.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. All right, next item
Secret.
is the SECRA for the bond resolution to acquire the Monroe Woodbury Jewish Community Center, otherwise known as Etz Chaim, which we are currently using as our offices. Yeah.
Okay. If it's acceptable to the board, I'll just read the be it resolved portion of the secret resolution on this one. Section 1, we can start with Section 2. The town board hereby declares lead agency status pursuant to SECRA in connection with the proposed purchase of the Monroe Woodbury Jewish Community Center and the premises and financing of such purchase. The town board as lead agency hereby determines that the proposed financing and purchase of the Monroe Woodbury Jewish Community Center building and the premises is an unlisted action under SECRA, and upon review of the short form environmental assessment, the town board determines that said purchase will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. And lastly, the